Hello, I'm Kris Kornbrek. I'm part of quality control with BPA, and we're going to go over the changeover for this Gantry system. It should be the same for both machines. Pretty much, once you're done running, you need to go to your home screen, go to Changeover, and if you have control power on, you have to hit the E-stop or open a door, and that'll allow you to actually go into the changeover. Click the button, then you just wait. Now it wants you to re-initialize the safety and control current. So you do that, and it's moving it into position so that you can work with it easier than trying to reach over other conveyors or have to go through different doors and climb on different things. In both of these, it's the service position. So now it asks you to go ahead and e-stop it again, and now I can select whatever product I'm going to go to. So in this case, I want to go to Costco so that I can show how to do the changeover to cassette. And I hit the button, and now it's going to say all the different parts that you need for this. Now, if you don't need a cassette or a RAM or whatnot, they'll leave certain things blank. It really depends on how that product is set up. I went and I grabbed everything and brought it over here. So if I look at this part number 2414523 and see that that matches that number. So now it wants me to go around and remove the backstop so that it doesn't get hit while we're moving around the different smart tracks. So right now this is set up for the last product, so I just have to pull it up, and now I have it out, and one of the last steps will be to put it back in. Alright, so now if you want to check your parts or whatnot, or you forget a number, you've got the go back button so you can come back to this to verify anything. Each step all the way up to the changeover adjustment points, you can go back and forth just verifying all your parts that you removed and what you've had to install. So on here, this is Smart Track, so now it wants me to go ahead and open the door. On this step, it wants me to open the doors and change out the Smart Track. So with it in this position, I'm going to have to take this door off, and this is the reject door. And then pull down and open. Now, for the Smart Track, you have clips on both sides that'll open so that you can change out the Smart Track. And let me slide this out the way to make it where you can see it. Now on each side, you bring those in, and then you can pull the Smart Track up. That, and like that. Now I can just pull this track out. Alright, so you slide it back in. Then I just gotta push it in and make sure that it clicks in place there and it doesn't pull out. Same thing on this side. Make sure it goes in and it fully locks in place and you can't pull out. Then I can slide that out the way. Do the same thing. I pull these out, knock these pins off. Oh, too far. Slides under. And then click, click, and verify, verify. Make sure it doesn't pull up and close. Next step is taking and making it go into vertical mode. That's where we use the cassette. And what it is set up as is horizontal. So this, I loosen it up, and then I can slide all of this back. Now it's all the way pushed back. I tighten that back down into place. So now this step is in case you already have a vertical setup. You need to remove your pushers, the heads of them and the arms. So this step, it's already been removed because we were running a horizontal. And this is if we needed to take out the existing cassette, we'd have to remove the connections. To remove the connections from here if we already had a cassette. But again, we were coming from a horizontal, so we don't have to remove them on this particular changeover. Alright, remove the pusher arm. If the push arm was installed because of being in the vertical mode, it would be back here, and we just have to disconnect it and bring it out and put it back on the cart. So now I can install the pusher arm. So this is the arm, and we've got this design so that you can't put it in upside down and you can't put it in the opposite. It only goes one way. And then slide it under here. See how, and you can see where it lines up and everything. And then turn this, and that locks it in place. Now it should not be able to come out and hit anything else. Now, of course, you can go back if need be, or you can click next step. So now I need to insert my cassette and connect those three connectors and the air line. So right now I've got the cassette, it's on this holder, and I can wheel it up to the front of the cassette. Much at the same level, so you can slide it on. That's how one person can do this changeover. Otherwise, you would need two people holding it to do a balancing act. Slide it in. And it's up against there. And then I lock it in place. Now it should come back out. Next, you have your three connectors plus your air. And as you can tell, each one's color coded to match the colors on the actual machine. And these connectors have a pin in them, so they can only connect one way as well. This is the dummy plug, and when you're not using a cassette, this is what they're talking about, putting in that location. And when you are using a cassette, you can just sit it up here, and you know that this is the spot where the dummy plug goes when you're using a cassette, because on the opposite side of it there's no air lines actually attached to that connection. So next is the pusher plates. On the back you've got your two alignment pins and this bar to help make sure that it's aligned correctly. So if you see, this is in that hole, and then both alignment pins will be in the holes in the bottom. So now, because this is a display pack, we have these little inserts to help cover the hole in the tray, so the product shouldn't fall out in those spots. Just like the other plates, we have guide holes to help alignment, and a screw to bolt them down. And if you look, you can see where these alignment pins go in these holes, and then it's actually fastened down to there. Next is taking out the head and installing the new head. So on the front side and on the back side you have this same style clip. Pull it back and that releases it. Same thing on this side. Pull it back and release it. Alright, so now I can slide it off. Slide it in and put that on there like that and close it. Same thing with this side and close it. Now everything should be nice and tight. On these pages we're gonna go through, and anything that doesn't have a green checkbox we need to go make that adjustment. If you come to this page and it shows a green checkbox starting off, that means that that setting is the same as what it was on the previous product. If it's flashing in red, that means that that's a point that there's a different number. So if I need to change one, I can click on the picture and now I can see an image of where that rail is in this case. So it's empty case guide 1 and that's how it should look. And here's 1 and here's the scale, and then I just loosen this up and I move this into the new position. And once I'm done, I check on it and I move on to the next thing. I can go through, same deal, I've got a picture, I can go to the location of it and make that change, and so on and so forth. Each spot has its picture and it shows you exactly what where that point is, and I can check them off. And then when I do that, I go through each one of these pages, checking off whatever needs to be checked and adjust to the correct spot. And then the very last one is 33, and that goes back to the backstop. Alright, so on the board it showed that it needs to go on 3, so I just slide this in place. And also, if you notice, it goes right in the groove of the smart track. If you change out your smart track and you do not set this in the correct spot, other smart tracks can crash into this and then you're gonna have a pileup. So make sure that you have that in the right spot. I can check the box and it allows me to go to the next step. And I click that, and now it should say that I have completed my changeover. So now I need to re-engage the system. So I need to remove the e-stop, any open doors, and go through and reset the safety. Everything is going to home itself into position. So once everything's homed, you're going to see this test cycle required button. This button is so you can hold it and actually watch the head go to its pick position. Then it'll come up, go over to the either the cassette or the case depending on how it's loading, and it'll pause and let you verify your alignment. Then you hit it again and then it'll go into either the cassette or the case depending on how you're loading. And it gives you the ability to watch the entire cycle. Down, now it's coming up, and it should come around to the cassette and stop. Now right now I gotta let go of the button. My head is aligned with my cassette, or if it was going into the case, I can verify that the head's aligned with the cassette, the case. You've got less chance of it actually crashing when you're running. So now I hit the button again. It's gonna go into the cassette, go down, turn on the vacuum, and now I can release it and it'll return by itself. And now we're ready to run.